Brahmastra Part 1 has a fundamental flaw in its storytelling, and now that Part 2 is announced and supposed to come out in 2025, it needs to be fixed. Because what I'm hearing about Part 2, it's gonna get complicated as they are going the Godfather 2 route. So let's break it all down. Hello guys, I'm Nona Prince and I just came back watching the film again in the theaters, and honestly I found the film way better than my first viewing, especially the first half. And it also made me spot the flaws clearly in the film. Now I know a lot of people didn't like the film that much, it didn't meet with their expectations, and it's good to have high expectations from a movies. But how I see it is that at least they tried something different. I will always choose a flawed original story than a good or average remake, or a repetition of a time and tested formula. See, definitely in the hindsight we can question a lot of things. They had so much time to write the film, they had so much budget, then why are there issues? And this is actually one of the drawbacks when a film takes so long to be made, because it's being made in a bubble and there is no constant feedback that will change the outcome. But now when the part 1 settles down and they begin with part 2, I hope they take the necessary criticism and feedback and improve on the future films, because that's the ultimate hope, right? Now out of all the criticisms like lack of character development, inconsistent screenplay, cringe and expositionary dialogues, the biggest issue is the love story. Now I've already talked about the relatability factor of that in my review. This film wants to make love the force of power, which will stand against Brahmastra and will control it, will win over it. And to do that, you have to develop both equally. The film really manages to develop the Brahmastra part of it, the whole world building around it, but on the love side, it couldn't do the same. Because you need to make it convincing. And for that, you need to spend more time on it, developing it, which the film doesn't do. And that's why when the characters say I love you to each other, it doesn't feel earned. Suddenly for our characters, that's the only thing that matters in their life, their love, and they literally met 2 days ago. Either the film had developed the idea of fate, or had gone cosmic, that the universe brought them together, they are meant for each other, or revealed something about Isha that connects him to Shiva directly or indirectly. Because the whole base of the power of love is their relationship, and because it's so weak, it falls apart at the end. Hopefully in part 2 with Amrita and Dev, they do a better job. Now there was a theory that you start the film that they are already in a relationship, so we don't have to waste time over that. But that actually doesn't fit the narrative of this film. Because there's one scene in the film I think we all missed. At the start, when Shiva is actually visiting the pandal and is praying to goddess Durga, someone comes and puts a flower in his hand, and that person is none other than Alia Bhatt's character Isha. Because in the next scene we have a wide angle shot where we see her, and that's the first time she touched Shiva, and after that Shiva started to have all the visions. His powers were awoken. That means in a later film we'll find something about Isha, that how she's connected to everything. But the problem is, in this film, the film failed to establish a character at all. And now with all the theories, we are expecting a reveal to come. And when that reveal comes and it's not satisfying, it will be a big bummer for all of us, because it will not have the same impact. If this film had actually established a character really well, we wouldn't be thinking about all these theories. And thus, when that big reveal comes, we will be really shocked. But now we are waiting for it, we are looking for it, because we need our answers. Now I noticed this in the first viewing also, that the film tries a lot of Marvel humor. There are a lot of real life references in the film, like Ranbir's character calling Amitabh's character rockstar. And you know, at least in the Hindi language, the film has tried to make these characters very modern and relatable to today's generation. The way they speak, the way they interact, you can notice these things. Especially Ranbir's character. He is an orphan, born and brought up in this chawl in Mumbai. The way he talks, the slangs he uses, it all makes sense. So the moment he compares Brahmastra to pizza, it actually makes sense. That's how he'll talk about it, because he's getting visions. He doesn't know it's a Brahmastra, it's a god of all the astras. He doesn't understand that. And through that, the film tries to make his character relatable to us. And throughout, the film also establishes he's afraid of fire. There are many moments throughout the film where you can notice this, until the reveal comes that how his mother died and that's why he's afraid of it. I wish the film had spent more time on it. In the second half, the dialogues become too much expositionary, and I wish they had spent more time rewriting those sequences. The second half also feels choppy. It feels like, a lot of things were cut out and shifted, changed to go through it all quickly, and there's a lot of voiceover done to explain things which are very obvious to us, and that's where it becomes spoon feeding. Also, the execution of the action in the climax, the whole design was not really done well. The composition, the blocking of the characters was very immature. And of course, the ultimate climax when Brahmastra becomes one and it's all about the power of love, it falls flat because you didn't spend enough time to build it up. Now this film definitely follows a lot of tropes of this genre, and I'll keep this film at the same standard of an MCU film or a fantasy fiction film. Somewhere or the other, they also have logical issues. They also have flaws. And it's actually a part and parcel of this genre. We are more forgiving of these things in a Hollywood film. And there are actually few things that get answered when I saw the film again. There was one criticism that why they're dancing and falling in love when they have to go and save the artist. fixed. Actually, they are not. The whole Kesaria song, whenever they are singing, they are performing to it, it's all happening in their imagination. There are scenes in the middle where we see them, going and inquiring about him. And then they find a hoarding which says he'll come at 8 p.m. So they have to wait for him to arrive. So they are actually not dancing and singing the song. The other one was in second half, how did Isha survive that fall from the building? Again, the answer is in the film. Just a scene before, we saw a yellow Astra trapping Zor. And the same Astra was used to save Isha. And we actually see the Astra's light leaving the frame when Shiva calls Isha to ask if she's fine or not. So there are small details which you can miss in the first viewing. Now Ayan Mukerji has said in part 2 we'll have two storylines, the flashback as well as the present, which is very much the narrative style of Godfather 2, considered the best sequel ever made. Now this is very risky because it can get too complicated, and I hope they pull it really well. But what are your thoughts? What are your expectations from part 2? Do let me know in the comments below. Until then, you can check out this video. If you like this, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.